New details today on the School Highlands Ranch shooting that killed one student in May and left 8 others injured. Now, 2 of those shot we now know were actually struck by a private security guard who was not supposed to have a gun on campus.
So this morning, a special prosecutor announced that even though Shamson Sundara broke the law, he struck a deal that can eliminate that charge. 9 News reporter Nelson Garcia joins us with more. And Nelson, Sundara is a former deputy and a Marine who was working in the school that day.
Kim, Alex, Shamson Sundara, by contract and by law, was not supposed to be carrying a gun. But his boss, the district attorney, and the father of the student who was killed are all glad he did.
An investigation has revealed that Mr. Sundara detained and disarmed one of the alleged shooters in the school hallway.
Working as a private security guard at School Highlands Ranch that day, Shamson Sundara did something heroic and illegal at the same time, according to District Attorney Dan May.
Immediately after detaining the suspect, he saw an individual dressed in street clothes round the corner of a hallway and spotted the muzzle of a gun. Mr. Sundara fired 2 shots in the direction of the gun. That
person was a deputy, and those shots went through a classroom wall, injuring 2 students. May reached a deal with Sundara to avoid charges if he completed 50 community service hours and engaged in restorative justice to work with his victims.
With what we thought was appropriate under these circumstances and in consultation with all the affected parties, we felt this was a appropriate way to handle this case and an appropriate accountability. Healing was obviously something that was important to a number of people in this case.
Senior Kendra Castillo was killed trying to stop one of the shooters. His dad, John, knows what it takes to be a hero and applauds the deal.
His actions that day, I can't imagine how much worse the situation could have been May 7th had it not been for not only Kendrick's actions, but the security guard.
Sundara works for Boss High Level Protection, and its president, Grant Whitus, says Sundara shouldn't face charges at all.
He was a great law enforcement officer. He's still a certified law enforcement officer in the state of Colorado. So he was the right guy in the right place at the right time that made the right call. And we stand behind everything he did, absolutely.
Castillo agrees, even though Sundara injured 2 students.
These are things that can happen, yes, true. But compared to the other side of it, I'm willing to accept that.
If Sundara cannot complete the terms of his diversion program by completing 50 hours of service and the restorative justice program, he will face a charge of possessing a gun on school grounds, which carries a maximum sentence of 18 months in prison and a fine of $100,000. Alex, Kim, Sundara's company believes in him so much, he was promoted and is now in charge of hiring and recruitment. In the meantime, the trials for the 2 teenagers charged in the STEM school shooting are still pending.
Case far from over, and all of this went down in just seconds.
Yep.
Is the important thing.
Yeah, very quickly.
All right, thank you, Nelson.
You're welcome.